how else do we get to a point where like the Shell Gas Company sponsors a 1619 Project event with Nicole Hannah-Jones?
I don't know what that is.
So the 1619 Project, oh man, this is a real rabbit hole. So this is this is the New York Times put out this thing. The 1619 Project is the year that the first slaves were brought to America, and it was about reforming the way that we talk about race and slavery in America. And so the very first essay which she wrote, which is very controversial, is when she claimed that the reason for the American Revolution was because people wanted to keep their slaves, not because of control from England and all that. What happened is that a bunch of very prominent historians on the American Revolution, the Civil War, and much more panned the essay. They said this thing needs to be corrected. They corrected it. Even then, she still won the Pulitzer Prize for journalism, or for commentary, I want to say, for that specific essay, which was there. And they partnered, I think it was with the Pulitzer Center, in order to create curriculum that schools are now using to teach. Now, this was attacked, the 1619 Project, not at first by conservatives. Of course, conservatives were pissed off. It was attacked by the World Socialist website, by Trotskyites, by Marxists and socialists. And the reason why is because they saw it for what I see it, which is that it's a cynical attempt in order to say America is an irredeemably racist nation, that is the only single and most pressing problem that we have in our society. And if you hold that frame, then you don't ask questions about corporate power in America. You don't ask questions even of leaders. A friend of our show, Zed Gilani, had a fantastic appearance on our show. I really encourage everybody to go watch it, where he talks about, if you look at the black community in America, which is what had the most pressing impact on their life economically and destroyed so much of their livelihood. It was the foreclosures under Barack Obama, and it was the wipeout of black home ownership and black wealth. The 1619 Project and the framework of politics, that original sin, which of course is the original sin, is the be-all, end-all for why we are where we are today, absolves current political leaders and recent political leaders like Barack Obama himself, or like leaders in the city of Atlanta, or leaders in the city of Baltimore, and that it absolves public policy which is non-racial. And so when I say that, why does Shell Gas Company feel comfortable sponsoring an event in which the main message is that America is an irredeemably racist nation? Because that is one more event which is being talked about in the political zeitgeist by the cultural elite, which is not talking about their own power in the marketplace. And if you look at what is the predominant control in your life in America, it is about capital. It's not about race. It's about class. But class disproportionately affects people of color in America. And so the way I look at it is that identity politics is so cynically grafted on by the billionaire and the corporate class. There's a reason they're all super woke. It's because they want it to be this way so that we don't talk about their power in our society. And I think this was a very cynical, the way this all happened is kind of crazy because it started out in the sociology departments in the 1970s of all of these crazy, from the from the 60s era. They were, in these sociology departments, and they started cranking out all these absolutely crazy papers around, feminism and identity politics, racial politics, all of that. And then what happened is that corporate America and other cultural elites, first of all, were being indoctrinated in the university system. They were going to go work at places like McKinsey and others, and they brought their racial politics and their identity politics with them. But that there had to be a recognition from the top, from people like Goldman Sachs. If the pressure on them is to stop the way that they trade derivatives or to put a black person on their board while they continue to, do the derivatives trading, they're going to choose that every single time.
Right.
So they want to direct the conversation in that direction. It absolves them for the sins both, towards the economically disenfranchised in America, but it's also a very cynical tool, which is that why is it that you see all these corporations, tweeting out Black Lives Matter, Instagram blackout, all that stuff? How is it that you see Nike? Isn't this the great irony that Nike went and did the whole Colin Kaepernick thing, the ad campaign, and they still got all their shit looted in this most recent thing in Chicago, right? I mean, I think that's the perfect example of they try to cynically use identity politics in America, split people apart to protect their power. And if we start to understand that it's a lot more about class in America than it is about race. I'm not saying that there is not racial problems in America, racism, that, you know, all of this, but that if you focus on these class issues, it's the best way to help people, you know, to people who are disenfranchised, who are disproportionately people of color, but to help everybody. That's a much more, I just don't know how else we can live in a multifaceted nation like this, which is, you know, economically heterogeneous, ethnically. People, you know, so many people of different ethnicities, so many people of different religions, I mean, I am the son of Indian immigrants. I feel fully and completely American. That's an amazing thing. That didn't just happen. It was the product of a result of very specific political choices that we made over time. And it's moving towards that we need to go towards. And that's what, but by doing so, what you've talked about many times, about economic, not just distribution, but about the power, who has power in society, working class or not.
Yeah.
Which is the corporate America can use the identity politics in order to make sure that the working class doesn't continue to have power.